What are we gonna do?
We'll bring hell down from on high.
So our next film for review is called Greyhound. It's brand new out. It stars Tom Hanks and is based on a novel by C.S. Forester. C.S. Forester is an Englishman, alive between, I think it's 1899 to about 1966. Forester wrote all the Hornblower novels, so he's down with, naval tactics and naval war, the war at sea, and big ships fighting each other. He's used to all that. Also, incidentally, wrote The African Queen, so he's had his work produced into movies before. So here we go, it's 2020, and we've got Greyhound, starring Tom Hanks. A couple of things to note about this. One, that Tom Hanks himself wrote the screenplay, completely and utterly accredited to just him. So it's from C.S. Forester's novel, but it's Tom Hanks's screenplay, which is interesting. I didn't know Tom Hanks knew his naval chat, but he obviously, he's clearly thoroughly researched it. Seems pretty legit to me. Someone who's never stepped foot on a USS destroyer. It sounded like the right lingo to me. I'm a huge fan of the TV show The Last Ship. I don't care. I think it's great. And so I and this is coming from someone who has no real interest in naval war procedures or ships. I found that show really enjoyable because of the world they immerse you in, and it's the same thing they immerse you in this. In the world of what it was like to be in World War II as a naval soldier or officer. Anyway, another thing to notice about this film. So first of all, we know it's not only starring Tom Hanks, but it's written by him. It's not his story, but he's written the screenplay on his own, just him, which is interesting. Second of all, this is very short. Very surprisingly so. It's an hour and a half long. Literally 1 hour 31 minutes or something. Very, very short. And consequently, for a war film, it's very short. Consequently, what it does is it just throws you in and stop. That's it. It's set over a couple of it's 3 days or so. It's a period of time when basically in early 1942, they are there's a convoy of US supplies coming over across the Atlantic, and for part of the way they're escorted by air support, so that against enemy U-boats and such like. But there's a period in between where they're not covered, basically, and it's given a name like the Black Pit or something. It's an area of the Atlantic which is pretty dangerous, and that's where Tom Hanks and his USS destroyer come in, and basically he and a few other destroyers have to protect the cargo ships going from America to, in this case, Liverpool in England, and we're at that hairy point where there's no air cover. And they have to protect the cargo for a good 3 days or so. Anyway, so what happens is you get a little bit of writing at the beginning. All good war movies start with a little bit of writing or end with a little bit of writing. Well, we've got a little bit of writing. It tells us where we are and where we're at. And it does cool things like if the captain looks across at a couple of ships, the names of the ships come up above them. So, okay, although they look exactly the same to you and I, we now have half an idea, and they've characterised the ship a little bit, so that when they talk about these ships, we kind of know which one they're talking about. Things like that. So it's in that sense, it's well directed. It also, as I say, goes straight in and straight out again. It kind of chops along the period of time. It's sort of one day, one evening, one day, one evening, one day. But it is just one long battle. That's all it is. And the characterization and development does occur, but so minutely. And because there's no real room for it. It has one flashback at the beginning, and that's only to 2 months prior, at the end of 1941, and that's it. It really it doesn't hang around. It doesn't, let anyone kind of rest, or let the audience rest particularly. I'd say there was one moment when it felt like, oh, everything's kind of died down a bit. I had the fortune of watching this on a big projector screen. I know we can't watch this at the cinema in lockdown at the moment, which is a shame, but hopefully this will get some sort of wider release. I do doubt it, because it is I say unfortunately, I think it is unfortunate that this has had a television release. This is on Apple Plus TV, Apple TV Plus. That's what it's on. That's how you can watch it. So unless you can stream it from that and watch it on a big projector, you're not going to get the cinematic quality of this movie, and I think it will lose the best part of a review star on a small screen. Already it gets one star because of what it does on a big screen, and with your surround sound, it's amazing in that sense, and it's well directed. I do like how the camera constantly follows Tom Hanks plays the captain of this ship. It's based on a novel called The Good Shepherd, so it kind of tells you that this is about Tom Hanks's character. It's about his captain guiding these soldiers, through these dangerous territories and waters. It's coherently filmed, but at times the colour palette is so the same, so bluey, grey, that metal ship colour, that Atlantic Ocean colour. At times it becomes a little bit, you need something else. You long for that flashback, which was set in a little hotel, in a posh hotel rather, posh hotel little foyer, with colours and gold and brown and and just brightness, and instead of this kind of colour palette that you have running through the whole film. But it doesn't matter. It's just that visually, after a while, you kind of want something a little different. But then maybe that's what they're going for. They're going for trying to put you in that world where you can't get out and you're on the ship with everyone else. It could have been a lot better. Could have been a lot worse, but it could have been a lot better. I think they shouldn't have kept it to this hour and a half little short thing. I think they should have opened it up, expanded it, turned it into a real epic, and really expanded on characters. There's things like the communications guy who has to follow Tom Hanks around and relay communications from below decks. He has a thing where he stumbles and he sneezes, so he doesn't catch the word and has to ask for it. So and you really getting into this guy, and he's threatened with being replaced, if he can't do his job, but then nothing ever sort of happens with this guy, and it's kind of a shame, because they start to develop little pieces of characters here and there that just don't come to anything. Sadly, very wasted also is Stephen Graham. Stephen Graham gets second billing in this after Tom Hanks. Stephen Graham, one of my favourite British actors. You remember him from This Is England, and gosh, so many things. Save Me on Now TV, and many things. Fantastic actor. Really can, even his American accent is brilliant. He plays the XO. He should have a much larger role, but he really doesn't. It's such a shame. But never mind. Tom Hanks doesn't look the age that he is. Whether that's CGI or makeup or both, I don't know. And that slightly unnerved me, but I got used to it. All in all, I'm going to wrap it up there. But all in all, Greyhound. We're going to have to give it 3 stars. A huge star is earned for the big screen experience, so it's possible that you watch this on a small screen and disagree with me and think it's worth 2 stars, and I'll agree with you. I saw it at my own home cinema, so I can attest to its power. Its cinematic power is definitely there, and I do enjoy the fact that it is so short. some war movies are way too long and bloated, but it's funny. This could have been just slightly long, just slightly more. But it's well filmed, well made, worth watching. Not going to be a classic war movie, I don't think. But enjoy it if you see it. 3 stars from me. Cheers.